Welcome back to the Mainly Stories podcast. First episode in probably a couple of years now. For those of you who don't know, I'm Alex Main, your host. I'm a stand-up comedian and a room runner for stand-up comedy up here on the Gold Coast. Today, joining me is my good friend, my showrunner in arms, and the Prince of Darkness himself, Mitch Donaldson. Thanks for coming, bro.
Thank you, Alex.
It's good to have you here, man. You excited to fucking get stuck in, do some podcasting before the show?
Yes, I can't wait. So yeah, show in T-minus 3 nights, I think.
3 nights, mate. I'm so fucking hyped, dude. Like, it's gonna be. We sold some more tickets today, actually. Like,
Really?
I finally got, because you know how we've been pestering our mates. Like,
I mean,
can you? But like when you work in the arts, I feel like no matter what you do in the arts, you're like, hey guys, do you want to come and see my thing? And I feel weird talking about my dick on stage and being like, this is art. But like, you ask people to come to your shit, like, everyone's always like, oh yeah, I'll be there 100%.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where you're like, yeah, but you say you're going to be there, but the ticket sales are looking kind of fucked right now. So like, can we fucking sort this out a little bit?
I've lost friendships over people saying they're going to come to stand up and not coming.
Really?
Yeah.
But like, you've just been like, fucking, you keep telling me that you're going to come and then you just don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's less of an issue if like, it depends what tier of friend they are.
Yeah.
But like, I had some very close friends, and this might reflect poorly on me, but they said they were coming to a gig like 3 or 4 times, pulled out last minute with not really any explanation.
Yeah.
Like really good friends of mine.
For sure.
And I was just like, this is like a big deal to me.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
not
And
making
particularly if
effort.
they're meaningful gigs and, you're like, it does get to a certain point, doesn't it, where you're like, I mean, bold of you to invite people that you know. First of all, like, that's already a big step for like, I hate people that I know coming to watch me do stand-up. Because it's like, jokes are about you. Particularly when my dad came to a gig, I was like, shit, I don't know how this is going to go, but,
I have the same issue as well. Like, I can't invite my paraplegic friends to my gigs.
I mean, because
I've got
you're just talking about fucking them the whole time.
I'm talking about, I can't invite...
That's the best fucking thing, dude. Everyone's just like, oh man, fucking, that's one of my favourite bits that you do.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, dude, just because everyone's like, what, how are you starting off with, yeah, I've always wanted to fuck a paraplegic. It's like, it's a bit of a fucking showstopper and a crowd separator.
It is.
For sure.
Yeah. If the crowds are not on board at that point, then that's when they go.
Yeah, that's definitely a back of half.
It is, yeah.
Sort of joke.
I used to open with that, if you believe.
Dude, yeah, that was
Which is, the joke is, I'd love to have sex with a paraplegic person, but we can't have the both of us laying there doing nothing.
It's a great joke. It's very, very good. Very nuanced. It's a thinking man's joke, that one.
It is.
But yeah, dude, it is funny. I always used to open with like, because I thought my darker jokes when I started were like my best jokes, but they were really the ones, like, when you get into stand-up, I feel like you just write, like you end up writing just the most cursed shit ever, because it's like, oh, how can I be extreme with it?
Yep.
And then you go through a phase like, oh, okay, now I want to write kind of clean, but funny. And then you find somewhere in the middle. But yeah, if you open with that kind of joke, excuse me, it can really sort of separate the audience and be like, we don't like you anymore. And then therefore all the other ones which we might have liked, fucking, we're not into anymore. Like,
100%. And in retrospect, when you're writing jokes, if you're a joke writer before you first do stand-up, you really you're not calibrated to be writing jokes for audiences. You're writing jokes that you like.
That you think is funny.
Yeah.
And like, you always see that. Have you seen the people that are on like fucking stand-up groups online? And they're like, anyone got a spot for me? I've got like an hour and a half of material. That's so awesome. It's like, I've never done it before, but like I know it's going to crush. It's like, dude, when I first did stand-up, nobody, like I wrote these, same thing, wrote 5 minutes and I was like, this is going to change the face of the entire comedy industry. Like fucking Dave Chappelle, they're just going to straight away. And then I got zero, I didn't even get a pity laugh. Everyone was just like, who is this demented Jonah Hill looking cunt? Like just saying horrible shit to me. And I was like, okay, I got to go back to the drawing board. But that's, like the performing aspect is so much harder, I think, than people actually realise.
100%. There's so many parts that are harder than people realise. All of it is, I think, going off what you said about having an hour written, I actually pretty much would have had an hour written. So I would have had over 100 jokes written before I even got on stage.
That's awesome. So how did you get into joke writing then? Like, what was your sort of like... Because I didn't know that. So did you sort of write jokes for yourself? Like, just because it was like something you found entertaining, or...
Yeah, I just enjoyed it. I think for me, like, I knew I was looking to get into stand-up for quite a few years. Ever since I was 18, really.
Sick, man.
Yeah, that's kind of when the penny dropped. I'm like, oh, like, that's when I started discovering people like Jimmy Carr, Anthony Jeselnik, those kind of guys.
For sure. And I can definitely see that, like, influence in your... Like, it's very that much, like, punching joke kind of style that you have, which is fucking sick, man. Like, and you pull it off. It's I think you're really, really funny. And so, like, what did that look like for you in terms of writing jokes at home? Was it like you literally just have a notebook, write stuff, be like, that's fucking funny, and then you just didn't have, I guess, I don't want to say the balls, because you don't need balls to stand up. Just, I guess, the fuck it. I'm just gonna do this and see what happens.
Yeah, I think for me, like, when I was growing up in high school and that type of thing, I was a bit of an overachiever. Like, academically, I performed really well. I was a school captain in high school. Yeah, 100%. Which you'd never have you wouldn't have thought that about me. But so I'd always kind of cared what people thought about me, and I'd always been successful at anything I'd done. Not everything, but like anything
like the things you gave a shit about, like you fucking, it worked kind of deal.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, for me, like, having the desire to do stand-up, I felt a fair bit of shame about that.
Really? Why? Like, what made you... What?
Just because I thought it's self-indulgent or arrogant to think that me, can entertain people for an hour.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. It is. You do have to sort of have that, like, I guess, ego about you to be like, I can just be on stage in front of a room full of people and it will be the best.
And it's all about me. Yeah. So I think, and then it's just having the balls to actually do it, because stand-up is one of those things where you fail. Most people fail when they first try it immediately. Like, it's all about failure.
Yeah, for sure. And
I'd not really been exposed to journeys in life where I'd failed.
Yeah.
So I could
it was always something like, say for like an academic test, you put in the work and then that's instantly translated. Whereas stand-up, the only real way to do it and know if you're doing it right is to do the thing, and therefore you're going to fucking eat shit to bed. Yeah. And it's so annoying when you see people like Connor Leahy, who's going to be on the podcast soon, another guy that we're doing the show with, and he gets on stage for the first time and just crushes for 10 minutes, and you're like... You don't understand the fucking bar shows with one crackhead that I've had to sit there and then drive an hour home being like, what am I doing? Not that I'm even a veteran.
I'd love to cut Connor's brain open and see how it works, because I feel like I'm the exact opposite to him in terms of our process, or like how we go about stand-up. In a good way. I think he just seems to not care. Like, nothing seems to faze him too much.
Well, I think it's just people that have that comfortability, I guess. Like, and there are people that are really good at improv, and there are people that are like naturally have that timing, and then there are people that have to work hard for every joke. I think it's just using what you've got and finding. Like, I was talking to a comic in Melbourne, and he was like, the whole goal is to just be the most you on stage that you can be, without sounding like a fucking artsy wanker. Yeah. And like, I just want to be me and express. But like, if you can be like funny as you on stage with written material, I think that's the sort of like, tell it how you would tell it in the car park. You know what I mean? Like when you're trying to make your mates laugh. And it's hard to do that. I find it really hard. Like
the people who succeed early in stand-up, like have those early wins, are people who are ultimately really comfortable with themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've got a lot of pride in who they are, and they're not afraid they don't back down from that at all.
Yeah, 100%.
They're not like us, two blokes who hate each other and themselves.
And just fucking sit there in a pit of fucking anxiety all the time, just like, fucking nobody likes my jokes.
Yeah. This is how I get my self-worth from like the 5 minutes.
And you're like, I'm basically the best man who ever lived, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, dude. So how long have you been doing stand-up for?
A year and 3 months. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. So still pretty new.
I'm still new, which is, it's weird to think about. I think the first 6 months, I'd kind of had some wins along the way, but it was very inconsistent.
Yeah.
And then my approach really changed from doing jokes, so writing dark material about everyone but myself.
Yeah.
So all of my jokes were...
Like shitting on people kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realised that wasn't working for me. And the way I wrote was quite dark and absurd and inappropriate, kind of. And I found that...
Sounds like my favourite shit.
100%. And I found like I don't know when it happened, but I just realised I need to like make these jokes about myself, because I'd be doing a set and they were still good jokes.
Yeah. But then they just rub people the wrong way kind of thing?
Yeah. And particularly like when you're starting out in comedy, you're doing stand-up to a room of people who aren't there to see you. They're there to see a comedy show.
Yeah.
So that's vastly different from people who are
often
going...
they might not have come to a comedy show before. They're like...
A lot of the time that's the case.
We've been like, hey, come in off the street. We'll be funny, I promise. And
Yeah.
then they get idiots like us being like, so here's the thing about my dick.
Yeah. I'd have like a domestic violence joke in my first 4 jokes.
Yeah, that's gonna...
Yeah. Which is, it's a funny domestic violence joke, but like as soon as you bring up that topic it's about someone else, then that's when you...
And you alienate the audience. And that was what Jacob Frisky, another good friend of ours and great comedian, he was like, I think that you're doing jokes that like, if you already had a following would work.
Yeah.
But no one knows who you are, so you're just saying horrible shit on stage and they don't trust you enough to know that you're just mucking around. Like, you could just be some unhinged dude that thinks like, you know, I can't think of the topic exactly, but yeah. It's interesting. So what was the shift, do you think? Was there like a moment or...
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on when, but definitely... So I did Raw comedy for the first time.
Raw this year?
I did Raw this year.
How'd you find it?
Really good. I did really well. I was really happy with it. I found just before that, leading into that, I had actually a mentor who kind of took my material and said, "Oh, like this is really fun. Why don't like?"
Who was that? You know, we can cut it out if you don't want to fucking talk.
No, I won't. I won't say who, but really smart comedian who's a bit older. Kind of said that, and then I went away, did a bit of reading and research on. Probably just...
joke writing in general?
Joke writing in general, and style as well.
Okay.
And I think, like, if you're a avid comedy fan, like self-deprecating humour is known to work quite well in Australia and the UK.
Yeah.
My influences were mostly coming from America.
Yeah.
So I was, like, trying to be like Anthony Jeselnik, where it's a lot of, like one of his jokes is... let's see if I can think of one. My girlfriend makes me want to be a better person, so I can get a better girlfriend. Like that kind of...
Yeah, like, but that... Yeah. I know what you mean, and look, all of my biggest influences and I guess heroes, for lack of a better word, in comedy are American. Yeah. And it is a very different style than the UK and Australian... So, you know, I think Australia is really heavily influenced by the UK scene. And obviously the American scene as well. But I think there's still that kind of almost tall poppy syndrome in Australia where for anything, whether it's stand-up, whether it's you want to go out on your own business, a lot of people, the overwhelming attitude is like, oh, who do you think you are? Like, bring you down to like, you know, baseline, you're just like anybody else sort of thing. And... I don't think they have that in America. I mean, it's the land of the bold and the brave and the free, and God bless Donald Trump because he's my president. But anyway...
but they don't understand self-deprecating humour, because from their eyes, why would you talk badly about yourself?
Yeah,
like
that's dumb. Like,
it's all about egotism and...
For sure.
So that was interesting. I also... discovered a comedian, Dan Rath, who performed on the Gold Coast. Yeah. So he's, I think he's based in Sydney, has a podcast with Damien Power.
Oh, right, sick, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of came across his stuff, and I watched him in live and thought, oh, like, that's really interesting. And he released a 40-minute special earlier this year, and it's basically about him how autistic he is, but he actually is.
Yeah, okay. So it's not just like tokenizing it. It's like his actual experience.
Yeah, it's his experience through life, and it's all just absurd, like crazy, offbeat humor.
Yeah, right. And is it on YouTube? Or?
It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's incredible.
I'll have to test it out.
There's just it's similar to mine in that it's joke after joke after joke after joke. But it's all inverted into making fun of himself.
Yeah. Which I think is like the best way to do comedy, particularly with dark topics. If you make it about yourself, it's a lot more palatable for people.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, particularly in Australia. Like
we love laughing at people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like, we love laughing at other people when they say, like, it's okay to laugh. You know, and particularly in, like, 2024, you don't want to be seen to be, like, punching down really hard or...
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people get really upset about stuff. And it's interesting, since moving back to Melbourne, obviously there is a lot more left-leaning than the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But there still is that element of people touching on dark subjects, but just making it more you-focused, or like, you know, I was thinking about this and how wrong was I, kind of thing. And I think that's the way to go about it. Particularly, you know, we're only just starting out. Like, they say you're not like a real... You get to like 10 years and then you're like, okay, now you've got your chops, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I love how us at 6 months we're like, we're basically the shit. Like, this is the fucking best. But
yeah. I remember thinking I was like the shit after like 4 months in.
I had one good gig and then I was like,
yeah.
I'm the fucking best at like.
And then I got
a bar with like 3 hammered old blokes, and then I went to like a bigger room, crickets, and I was like, no, my reality isn't real.
Yeah. I've been brought down to earth, which is it's the best thing for you as well. For sure. I've been brought down to earth a few times, and like you have certain comedy rooms where you do where, particularly early on in your career, you're not ready to do those. You get thrown opportunities that you probably not necessarily are ready for, and then they're big learning experiences.
But I think that's really good for comedy in general, though. Like, I think when room runners take that chance on you, and you'll know that feeling when you're like third, and you see the opener go up, murderer. And then you see the next act, even better than them. You're like, my jokes are dumb. I don't know why I do them. Why did I even write this shit? Yeah. And you go up, and it works, and you do okay. But you realise, like, there are levels to this game. You know,
there's different levels of murdering. Like, there's which you don't realise when you're starting out. Like,
murdering, by the way, is like what we call doing well. You kill a room, you're a murderer. It's a good thing. Not killing people.
Yeah.
Please continue.
I think like the best laugh for me, and I had this earlier in the week. There was like a younger girl in the audience. Like she might have been just 18.
Typical for you to like them. Anyway, please.
Fucking hell. And I watched her. I watched the audience, and I like to see how they're reacting to comics, because on this particular night things were not going well because it was a smaller, lighter crowd. Yeah. And everything, she was covering up her mouth to laugh because she didn't feel comfortable laughing with so few people in the crowd. 100%. And I'm like, those smaller rooms, like when there's not a good turnout, there's sometimes a really good opportunity. Like if you could make 5 people laugh out loud on most of your jokes,
then in a room
like,
of 50,
that's
then you're gonna crush.
Yeah,
like,
it gives you so much confidence. And like for me, I was like, I saw her doing that. I'm like, I'm just gonna do as much as I can for her to uncontrollably laugh and not think about trying to hide.
Yeah, like I want her to crack and be like, this is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the goal, is to get you to like break that laugh seal and just piss yourself laughing, and you're like crying, like dying laughing. Yeah. Yeah, that's the dream.
And I think that's like, that's the standard for me. Like when, particularly in the last 6 months, I've written a lot of new material in my set to what I was doing before we met. Yeah. Like, to give you an example, I reckon 10% of my material is older than 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So most of your stuff's new.
Yeah, newish.
And you turn over jokes pretty quick. Like, you'll take a swing, take it a few times, and then if it doesn't work, then you're like, I'm either going to keep working it or fuck that content. There's one that I'm not going to talk about on here, but it's my favourite one.
You can talk about it. You can talk about it.
You did a joke about eating menstrual blood, and you lost the entire crowd, dude. And I was sitting there at the back. I think I got stoned with another comic beforehand, and I was like sitting there just like, and the crowd was like, no, We're not into it, and you just like, yeah, well, that's a new one. We're gonna keep going, man. It was so fucking funny.
You've just got to own it. And I was actually like, that was an example of a joke where sometimes you write something and you're convinced it's gonna work.
Yeah,
and
then you know, like this is gonna be the fucking best, and then you do it, and you're like.
And that's just part of like getting your chops, is realizing like now I'd write it, if I wrote a joke like that, I'd be like, oh, like that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
like, no one wants to hear me.
That's horrible. Why would you say it? But
yeah.
In your fucking dumb comedian brain, you're like, haha, horrible thing. It's going to work. Like,
yeah. The reason I actually decided to do stand up is because my girlfriend at the time got sepsis.
Oh right, fuck,
she got rushed to. She literally just started talking in a way that was incoherent.
Yeah, like
so just sounded like an alien or like, and she didn't have enough oxygen going to her brain, so she just lost the plot. Yeah. Then she got rushed to hospital in emergency. They found she had sepsis and COVID at the same time.
That's not good.
No.
That's what they
so she almost died. She should have died.
That's what they call a double whammy in the industry.
Yeah. And like that whole incident like affected her mental health really bad. Yeah, so she came out a completely different person.
Yeah, right. And so that was like...
And then she split up with me within 2 weeks, I think, of coming out of hospital.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. That's gnarly, man.
So, but like and it was in the COVID period, so like I couldn't see her.
Yeah, so she's like...
While she was on her deathbed.
And then,
So like the COVID restrictions, I couldn't actually go into the hospital.
Yeah.
So she was on her deathbed, no one could see her, no family.
Yeah.
Like she could have died.
Fuck, that's...
And I was just not... And the thing is, like, she couldn't even access a phone charger. So, like, she might call me once every 2 days, just whenever she had like the strength.
She's not unconscious or, like, you know, fucking...
Yeah, asleep or... Yeah. It was wild.
That's so heavy, man.
Yeah, it made me really sick, that whole experience.
Oh,
like,
dude, I can imagine you would have been fucking... That's going to cook the strongest person's mental health.
Yeah, so, like, it was my physical health as well. Like, I was so stressed that I was getting pains in my abdomen.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and they were like, I was like, hey, I'm getting these pains in my abdomen. I think I've got like a fucking bladder, like a bladder thing.
Yeah.
What's it called? Like that girls get?
Stones or whatever. Or
that girls get. I thought I had a UTI.
Yeah, right.
And he was like, because it was just like a dull pain here. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck. And I told they did my bloods and whatever, did my urine sample. Yeah. And they're like, I think you need to go get an MRI now. Like, go today. It was
proper gnarly.
So, and... The things I like looked at the script and I'm like terrified of illnesses and that type of thing. I don't like getting sick.
I'm super health anxious as well. I get it. Yeah.
I've gotten better over time, but like I'm scared of like getting sick and getting cancer and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I read it and it was like everything they were looking for was like life changing. So like, it would not have been good if they found any of those things.
When they tell you we're getting X, Y, Z test, like I completely get it. And you Google. Like, what are these tests for?
Yeah.
And then it's like renal failure and fucking cancer and XYZ.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you just like, you sit there and you're freaking the fuck out. Like, so I get it. So how did it all end up?
So yeah, like I was so stressed worrying about her after she got out of hospital in particular. And like keeping in mind, our relationship was probably over by that point. Yeah, it was over 6 months before that.
Like it was one of those things that you were kind of like, when you're sticking it out, you kind of just like, every time you hang out, you're just like, oh, this fucking... And I'm not saying that the women that I've been like that with, they're probably feeling the exact same as we are. But it's just, like there's everyone knows someone and everyone's been in relationships where you really should call it quits, but for like the stubbornness or fear of being alone or fucking... I don't know what it is.
Well, for me, like I was with that person since I was 18. So we got together at 18. Yeah. And it was until like 23. So that's 5 or 6 years, right?
That's a fucking long time.
That's all of my adult life. I was with the same person. And like she was my best friend at the time.
Yeah,
like,
and you think you're going to get married and you're like, this is just a rough patch maybe.
Yeah.
And...
But yeah, you change so much from like 20. I think like as soon as you go through 22, 23, 24, there's so much change.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, so she got sepsis, was in hospital. Like the nurses said, like I didn't think you were gonna get through. That's what they said.
You got the new, like it was like she might die.
Yeah, basically.
Fuck, that must have been so heavy, man.
Yeah, and I couldn't see her. She was in there for might have been 9 days.
Fuck.
Yeah, in ICU
in
for
COVID.
in ICU for 4 of them at least.
Yeah.
Like it was just
and it's
mental.
in COVID. I don't know if it was at lockdown time up here.
Kind of.
Yeah, okay.
It
So
was in
still
between
a
that.
scary time for everybody. You know.
But even then, like it's the person you, even if you're not in love anymore, like that's the person.
Yeah,
that was my.
You still
that's my
love the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. So it was really tough, and then so she got out of that, completely different person. I was so stressed about that change and the other thing as well, like with sepsis, even after you get out of hospital and recover, you can still die because your organs can fail post getting.
You fucking
it's
body.
blood poisoning. you get blood poisoning, so
and thing about your blood is it's kind of important. Like I don't know if you know this, but the blood, pretty important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving mine away every second day on the black market. I don't know about you.
I just did mine for free when I was a teenager, but we're not going to get into self-harm. We're not doing self-harm jokes here, Mitch. But
that's right. But going back to the going to the doctors. So basically, I did the MRI. When they gave me the fucking referral to go, they're like, you should go tonight. So this was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I just slipped into the doctors. They're like, oh, go tonight. There's a Griffith Uni Hospital.
Yeah.
Gold Coast, they're open till late. Like, go now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Yeah. Like, I drove home and I'm like, I've got bowel cancer.
Yeah, I'm
literally like, how am I going to explain to people at work that I have cancer? Like, am I going to keep my job? Am I going to have to resign? Is my mum going to have to
Am I going to die? Like,
I don't have any money. How am I going to pay for like having cancer? You know. So like that's the mental gymnastics like I was doing at the time, and then so I got the scan. Turns out there was nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
It was just from stress and like like I was just so tense that things were hurting, like cramping and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. So then she split up with me. I kind of spiraled for like 4 months, had like a quarter life crisis.
Yep,
as you do. And then I guess you kind of, most young people in their 20s will know this. You don't really understand your mortality until you have...
Yeah, you get a scare and then you're like, oh, fuck, like maybe we don't actually live forever and I'm not indestructible.
Yeah. You've only got one shot, which is the most cliche thing to say. But it's like, that hit me right in the face. I'm like, I've been wanting to do stand-up comedy, like try it since I was 18, so 4 years at that point. Like, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So that was a push. I read a few self-help books along the way. I'll bring him up again, but Jimmy Carr's got a great one, which is...
his book's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Before Laughter?
Yeah, Before and After Laughter, I think.
Yeah, before, yeah.
And that's the book I read when I was like at my worst type thing. And his big message from that book is pain has a purpose, which you probably remember. So pain has a purpose. So in life, if you go through pain, it's like treat it as an ally and use it to do something.
Yeah, acknowledge it sucks, but there is something to be gleaned from it, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna put it towards doing comedy. That was the if that didn't happen, it could have been late 20s before I actually did stand up, which is crazy. Yeah. But that's genuinely, I don't know if I would have done it. So I'm 25.
Oh God, what a lucky to be 25.
Yeah.
Not that I'm old, I'm 28, but fuck yeah, I get it. That's fucking awesome though, dude. Like,
I don't tell people that often, but that's
not that you
it's a long story.
I could believe 25 for sure, but I think it's interesting. Like, you do kind of need that kick up the ass to realise. I think before any creative endeavour, or even, I mean, some people don't. You know what I mean? Like, I've got friends that have had a girlfriend they met in high school, and they got a great job, and and they're doing great, and they're having a great life. But for some people, and I don't know the specific archetype that this is, but for some people, you actually do need to for lack of a better word, sort of float and kind of tread water for a little while until you get, that wave that splashes you in your face and you're like, okay, what the fuck am I actually going to do with my life? And it comes at different times, but some people, get it when they're like 38 and they're like, I'm sick of working at this fucking dead-end job that I hate. I'm going to go and paint echidnas or something. I don't know. But it's interesting when that comes. And I think in one sense that, obviously I'm really sorry that you went through all that, but
it's great. I think
it's one of it's made... it's given you this opportunity to like chase an art form that you're really good at and that is really rewarding. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's weird how it turns out. Hey,
yeah, it's crazy, and I think the system at the moment is so much about having your shit together at a young age. Like when people come out of high school, that people always ask you like, oh, like what are you going to study? Like what do you want to do?
what's your life plan? Like,
in a lot of cases, there's a perception that it's not fine to not know what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And if people do the wrong thing, like I did a fucking finance degree because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, business is fine. Yeah. And then I went back and did a master's of business when I was in my late 20s. So one could argue that was also a silly decision, but yeah, like people...
How much did that cost you? 100?
Too much. I don't want to talk about it.
100?
No, I don't know. I don't know the exact figures, but I'm going to get into it.
We're not going to talk finances,
No,
Alex.
we're not talking
We're friends here, bro.
I'm fucking done with finance talk.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about ticket sales. Tickets are on sale right now. Eventbrite.com.
$10.
Broken mic is $10. Anyway, but yeah, it is... I think there is that pressure of like you need to have your whole life figured out. But then one of the most impactful conversations that I had was my cousin, his wife. I was running an events business at the time. And it was at Christmas and we were just drinking, having fun, talking shit. And I go, I was talking to her about it. And I was like, I don't know, like I just was having a good time DJing and I love music and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do it and then figure it out along the way. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's somehow working.
Yep.
And she was like, mate, I've got a few kids. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just figuring stuff out. Like, she was like, I'm an adult, and we're all adults, and we don't know what we're doing, and that's the secret to... And I was like, that really is the thing, is everyone's just sort of like playing their hand, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
And it can seem on the outside someone's really got it together, but you don't really know fuck they're talking about, you know?
Yeah. And I think that was a big lesson for me to learn, specifically with stand-up, is like, it's okay to be wrong, and you can always learn more. Everything can always get better.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and just because this didn't work this time, doesn't mean that, you know, like that can sort of be like a building block. Okay, it didn't work this time. What didn't work about? Like, they talk a lot about overnight successes, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, he blew up off this one thing and he's so good, or she, you know, had this one song and it was amazing. It's like, yeah, but you don't see all the fucking... Have you seen Post Malone's first song?
No, I haven't.
It's the most fucked thing ever. All right, I'm gonna play it in this right now. You said you loved me just moments before. Why'd you lie?
That looks like you, bro. That looks like you with a sachet.
This is a legit song he released.
That's awful.
How fucked is that, dude?
Yeah, everyone starts somewhere, man.
How crazy. It's fucking nuts. Like that. And Post Malone seems like the goat of people. Like, he seems like the nicest dude ever. His music is fucking awesome, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't see that progression usually. You just see the success kind of deal.
100%.
And and I think stand-up's like one of those things that you gotta accept that I'm going to tell a whole bunch of jokes that are going to make people upset, or everyone's going to look at you after at the bar and you're going to be like, I'm the worst. But if you can keep doing it, then eventually people are going to be like, I always knew he was going to be a success.
100%. And a good example of that is Anissa Nandwala.
Oh, she's so good. She's so fucking talented, man.
Yeah. Did you see she did Thank God You're Here?
I haven't seen the episode, but I did see she did. Did you watch the episode?
I watched the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Good?
Yeah, it was good. She did good.
Fucking I love seeing like people that you know break into that next level. Hey,
dude, I've been doing open mics with her this year.
Yeah.
And like to see her, like she's probably an example of an overnight success, right? Yeah. But to see her on TV on Thank God You're Here, like a show I was obsessed with. Yeah. That was one of the reasons I got into comedy, was watching that show.
Watching Thank God You're Here.
Yeah.
No shit.
And seeing her on that, I was just like, that's incredible. Yeah. But then you look at someone like her and you go, oh, where's she come from? Like a lot of people would have seen her on their screens for the first time.
Yeah, and the people who are watching, thank God you're here, like, oh, I like this girl. She's first opportunity, she's crushed it out of the
Who's
park.
she? She's come from nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see how she operates.
Yeah, and she's come from open mics with 3 people there, and she's still doing the exact same jokes.
Yeah.
Fucking, punch.
But she still does those rooms, though.
Well, that's the thing. I got told by a friend of mine once, I was like, because there is a few different people that have got the attitude of, okay, now that I've done really good rooms, I've got to that level.
Yeah.
And I got told by a couple of good friends who are better than me at comedy, at a much senior level, that you can't have that attitude.
No.
You're not better than anybody. Stage time, work on your craft, and one of my favourite Anissa moments, I hadn't ever met her really and she still wouldn't know who I am. I mean, we've done a couple of open mics together, but she was doing jokes and no one was listening, and she just went silent and just held the mic and just started looking at the crowd. And then for a minute and a half, didn't say a word. She's like, are you uncomfortable? Because I can stand here for an hour and I'll be fine. Crowd erupts laughing, won them back. And I was like, and I think I saw that when I was maybe 3 months in.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, to have that level of confidence on stage, just to be able to fucking do that, and everyone, like a friend of mine, Sam Zito, he was opening for Blake Pavey.
Yeah.
And doing like theatres with hundreds of people. And then still came back and he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this open mic on a Wednesday with like 10 people there. Fuck yeah. Why would I, that's... Every time I want to get on stage, that's what I want to do, is get on stage.
Dude, one of the comics we're performing with tonight, I'm not sure how well you know him, but he opened for Jim Jeffries.
Which one?
Brian.
Did Brian Freeman open for Jim Jeffries?
This year at the Brisbane.
Oh, with Chris Franklin.
Yeah.
No shit, that's where I know Brian from.
He did 10,000 people, or I don't know how many it was, but it was...
It would have been of that order. Jim Jeffries is like a type.
Yeah.
He was one of the first people that got me into comedy.
He opened for Jim Jeffries this year.
That's so cool.
And he's doing a gig with us.
Yeah, and that's the thing, We're basically Jim Jeffries.
It's the 6 degrees of connection.
It's like that Kevin Bacon thing, only one actor away.
Like, I know Brian, and Brian knows Jim Jeffries.
We're basically best friends with Jim. But no, and that's the thing. I think if you can just cultivate, like, I was talking to my mum the other day about it, and I was like, honestly, if I could get on stage all day during the day, like 9 to 5, and I have like maybe an hour break in between each set, that would be the best day ever.
Really?
I would, dude.
You should go to New York. They run shows like throughout the day.
I would go to New York if I had $800,000 million.
Yeah.
I looked up rent in New York, and for a shithole, it's like $10,000 a month. And I don't think the open mic gigs, I'm unemployed right now. I do, odds and bobs around, selling a bit of coke, But yeah, the rent over there is insane, which is why I'm super excited. I think I'm going to go to Edinburgh Fringe next year and just do spots for that month. I'm going to save up as much money as I can, go over, see who else is going over from the comedy scene in Australia, and then just do open mics. Not have a show, just because I was reading people doing like 32 spots a day, and I was like, if I did 30 spots in a month. How do you even
fucking coordinate that?
I think it's
a logistical nightmare.
Spot.
It's just whoever's in the green room. All right, you're on next, cunt. Let's go.
But you know what? In Melbourne, it is a little bit like that. Like, I've just dropped into a gig fairly recently, and with a friend, and the guy who was running the room was like, "Oh, you want to get up and just do like 4 or 5 minutes?" I was like, I don't want to put you out." He's like, "Get on stage, no drama." And I think that's cool. That is the thing about moving to a bigger scene. That has been really helpful for my comedy. It's just that you can have those opportunities. But I mean, the Americans, they're so spoiled. Like, New York, they do like 15 spots a night. Yeah. And that's normal. Like, up here on the Gold Coast, if you're doing 3 in a week, you're hustling. 4. You are. Yeah. Like, and that, like, I don't want to be a snob or anything, but I'd probably try and do at least 4+ a week in Melbourne, and it's not very, like, I can comfortably book be a lazy cunt and then go and do 2 and 2 in 2 nights.
Yeah.
But I think it's also just taking the time to write as well. Speaking of writing, should we get into fucking talking about some new bits?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Before we get into material,
Yep.
you've got a clip that went viral of you.
Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but
So you're not... Did you create this, or are you just in it?
I'm in it, but I'm the focal point of the video.
All right, yeah.
I'm not proud of it. Am I happy that I went viral on TikTok? No.
Okay.
I personally, as like I'm a purist. I'm a stand-up comedian. The fact that I did this without really realizing what was going on, and it's possibly going to get more views than any fucking stand-up
Any stand-up clip you'll ever post?
Makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh no! All right,
but
hit me with it. We're gonna put it in the video.
All right, here we go.
We're at the plane station, and
You mean the airport?
We're at the plane station. Oh fuck! That's
How many views do you think that got?
Couple 100,000? 1 million. How many million did it get?
7 million.
Oh my god!
That's a third of Australia, cunt.
That's so
it's
nuts.
It's stupid.
Were you tagged in it?
So I really wish my girlfriend. This is what I wish happened, right?
Yeah.
I wish my girlfriend collabed with me on TikTok, so
Yeah.
it was on my account as well.
Right.
But she used to be a TikToker,
Right.
kind of like she still TikToks, but she was like somewhat.
Like known and like was putting out content.
She had tens of thousands of followers, I think.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
As far as I know. And she posted on her account, so she already had a decent following.
Yeah.
It got it didn't really move. It got thousands of views, and then within 3 days it was up to 50,000.
Okay.
And she was like, when it gets to 50,000 views, like it's been 3 days, it's gonna die off. Like
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
done.
It's
done.
That's sort of the gestation period or whatever.
Yeah. And we looked the next day, it was 100.
Oh wow.
So 4 days in, then 150 later that night, and then it just went from 150 to 600, and then a mil really quick, and then it just a meme page picked it up on fucking Instagram.
Yeah.
So this meme page genuinely had 4,000 followers,
Yeah.
and all of their videos had around about 20,000 views, right?
Yeah.
20,000. When they posted my video, it got them 5 million views.
Oh my god.
It's stupid, isn't it?
I mean,
it's stupid.
you say you're not naturally funny. I mean, plane station, that's gold.
Yeah.
You should use that on stage.
You think so?
Just the story in general. Like, I know that's not your style of comedy, but talking about that being like, it's hard to know that I've peaked in my comedy career when my girlfriend sees, like, you do something like that. I think that could work.
Well, I think, and it may be a conversation for another day, but being a one-liner / short joke comedian.
Yeah.
For me, we're doing 15 minutes on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm thinking ahead, like, what does 30 minutes look like for me?
Yeah.
Most one-liner comedians, they don't do all one-liners.
There is that mix of longer stuff, and that could be where that comes in, hey?
Yeah, 100%. So,
Yeah.
that's a really good thing you've underlined.
Yeah.
Could be crowd
But
work.
will it be weird for you
Yeah.
to go on and do like a 5-minute bit?
Yeah, I don't think I can do it.
You'll get.
I can't.
You can.
Dude, I've tried.
It's fucking. It's good though when you're halfway through a bit and then you're like,
Laugh.
"What was I talking about?" Like,
I can't do it. I need the laugh. But mind you, with this longer story, you can get the laughs along the
you
way.
just tag it up.
Yeah. But for me, like, every time I've written a longer joke,
Yeah.
they've gone for like a minute or 2 minutes, right? I've done the joke and they've laughed at something right at the front and then just hated the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay,
And
gotcha.
I've done that twice. And both occasions, the joke that I took out is probably, one of the jokes is people probably recognize as my best joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Which wasn't even the joke. It was a whole long story.
Like, it was a
and
long
people
story and you
people
just had
loved
that,
the
yeah.
first fucking 20 seconds and hated the
Hey,
fucking...
sorry, people works.
Yeah.
And fucking there we go.
Yeah. So,
shit.
yeah, and now the other one is one of my most iconic jokes, which is about me being cuckolded.
Yeah.
That used to be a 2-minute bit.
I mean,
tried
it's just your evolution
Yeah.
as a comic, hey? Like, it's fucking, and naturally it I guess you find who you are on stage and what works for you as you get deeper and deeper into it. We were talking about the, difference between, like the 1 to 6 months, and then the 6 months to a year kind of thing. And then I imagine we're going to get to like 5 years in and be like, how are we telling those jokes at a year when we thought we were so funny? You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
It's just one of those things. But yeah, we got a show soon.
Yeah.
So what new bits we're working on? Let's break out the joke books.
Yep.
And you tell me some bits, and we'll workshop some jokes before the end of this podcast.
Okay. I can go first if you want.
Yeah, hit me. I'm just trying to find something in this book of madness.
This is all... these are all mostly... I kind of write everything in my phone now so I don't lose it. But I've been very slowly working on a joke.
Okay.
Basically what I've got now is my friends and I used to be in a gang.
Yeah.
And we robbed Mr. Toy's Toy Worlds exclusively. And on our first robbery, I was asked to arrive, like all of the other gang members, wearing a balaclava. And I realised that I made a mistake when I arrived as my favourite dessert.
I like it, yeah.
I don't know if it needs work, but that's what I've got so far, and that was the first copy.
Yeah,
that's when I
chop it up like being like, I go like, oh yeah, the boys told me like I had to wear one of those things. What it's called, a balaclava, a baklava. You know what I'm talking about. And, you know, I thought I'd nailed it, but then I realised quickly, like, if you, like, play up that ignorance, maybe, and be like, yeah, like a baklava,
maybe, like, everyone else is an idiot, so, like, all these idiots rocked up wearing a face mask when we were meant to dress as a dessert.
Yeah, that could work.
I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, the ignorance of thinking,
these fucking morons, like, they all came in blackface. Like, what are they, don't they know it's 2024, you can't be doing that?
Yeah.
I kind of like that angle, but yeah.
You like it though?
Yeah, that's good. It's an interesting concept for sure. I think, there's something to the like, if you maybe flip it on them being like, they fucked up the uniform.
Yeah.
And like fucking idiots. Like, no wonder we got caught.
Maybe I'm the gang leader.
Yeah.
And I told everyone to rock up wearing a balaclava, but I thought it was, a balaclava was the dessert. And I'm like, I told you idiots to come. It's like,
like,
I don't know.
Can these guys not follow? We're not a crew anymore. These guys can't follow simple instructions.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
But that's like so simple. Like, for me, like a big part of my style is seeing misconstruing what's happening, or me not being so ignorant I don't understand something. Properly. Okay, so like the mix between, I think
it's the misdirect.
It's the misinterpretation of something. Like, and you'll see that like weave throughout my set. It's common for me. Like, I used to think a do-rag was Scooby-Doo's cum sock.
Yeah, I love that.
I just found out Hog's Breath isn't a brothel. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of a bit clueless, but the mistakes are quite like risque, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. With that, and that's what you're playing on. Is like, how can he make that dumb mistake and then the punch comes after that?
Yeah.
I think that's why they hit so hard. Is because people are like, is he fucking serious?
Yeah, and people don't know sometimes, yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Do you have one?
I've got one. I haven't got anything written for it. But I got one about, like, I don't know if I want to have kids, right? And, like, I've never known if I want to have one. And, like, I just think it's so much responsibility and I'm too immature to handle it. Like, I've watched so many not those kind of videos. I don't know what I'm tagging up. Anyway, but I've watched so many videos of little kids, like, swearing at inappropriate times.
Yeah.
And I'm too much of an idiot that I'd be like, so when you go into your first day of school, you say, "G'day, cunt." And, like there's something there. I think it would be so funny to teach your kid to be like to your mum, be like, "Sup, bitch?" Like, your grandma be like, "What the fuck?" But,
and that's how you lose custody.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's no...
I think you should scrap it.
There.
Dude, that was the worst joke I've ever heard. Basically. Nah.
We'll go back to the drawing board.
Nah, but
you know what I mean. Like, it's like, I don't... And the whole joke about, like, I don't know if I have the responsibility to do it.
Kids are...
And that's real. Is like, I don't have my shit together. I'm still a bit of a loose cannon. But, like... I guess I want to know, like, what fun bits to play on with that. Like, I think teaching him swear words would be super funny, but then no one likes a 4-year-old that calls like a kindergarten teacher a cunt. Like,
I think they do.
Yeah,
I think
everyone does like it. That's why I think it's a good idea.
It's a great concept. It's a great
I literally haven't. I wrote out just the idea today, and I need to play around with it. But then it's like, and then the fucking comparisons I was coming. So like, am I basically just doing mind control experiments on it? It's like we've already seen people do that, and they're not the best people.
There's so many different angles you could go on this.
Like it's full of angles. I don't know what the one I'm going to take is. And I'm trying not to make it dark. Because I have a few dark ideas about like, I can mind control experiments. You know who else did those? Like...
Who?
Joseph Goebbels.
Who's that? Joseph?
Goebbels. You don't know who Goebbels?
Oh, yeah, I know Goebbels. Yeah. Yeah, I know all about gerbils.
We're not talking about Goebbels.
We're not talking about gerbils, okay?
I've got too many Hitler jokes. People are going to start asking questions that I don't want to answer.
I'm a big gerbil guy. Do you know people put gerbils up their rectum? Did you hear about this?
Gere, what a man.
Yeah.
We heard about this.
And they get stuck, and then they die, and then they get stuck while they're dead.
And then they turn into Lemmywinks, and then, you know...
Who's Lemmywinks?
Have you not seen South Park?
Oh, no, I have. Yeah.
Fucking Mr. Slave has to go up there and talk to them.
Mr. Slave! I love it,
yeah. But there's something there.
There is, yeah. I think, the headline is like, isn't it funny when kids swear? Like, because there's so much stuff on, like, there's so many vines and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how you start. Like, isn't it, I find it so fucking funny when kids say inappropriate things.
Yeah.
Like, we've all seen that little kid being like, there's a fucking monkey on the car.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and then list some examples maybe.
I think almost like what you do is you go into overdrive and say, isn't it funny when kids swear? Like my nephew said to my girlfriend, and just say the most fucking expletive, like, and just send it. Yeah, just be like, you fucking dumb cunt bitch. You can blur that out.
Like, you fucking fat slapper, fuck you, you stupid slut. Like,
and he's just 4.
Yeah,
like,
he's just 4. And I'm like, wow, it's such a good thing that he can see that this early.
Like I was always envious of the kid, like when you're in preschool, who said he'd seen Human Centipede. like, dude, I remember clearly when I was in like year 1.
That explains a lot, by the way. Fucking,
yeah,
the Dharma glasses, fucking everything. Like,
yeah, there was this like kid who proclaimed to have seen Human Centipede in year 1, and we all just thought I just thought that's the coolest. Yeah, that's the coolest kid. You're like the jock.
The coolest movie ever. That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. 100%.
And then the teacher was like, oh, like, you haven't seen that movie. And then he explained the movie to everyone.
And then you'd be like...
And that's a good movie.
She's like, okay, maybe he has seen the fucking movie. Fuck. Because you're calling a bluff. When the kid says, I've seen Human Centipede, you're like a 30-year-old teacher. You're like, this fucking idiot has not seen Human Centipede. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, so what they do, they get stitches, right? And you're just like, I've made a grave error, and now my whole class is going to be telling their parents, like, fuck!
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, kids say the darndest things. It's a great concept. You got another one for me? We've got one more each, and then I reckon we got to call it, because we got to get to a goddamn show, baby.
All right. Let's be quick. Do you want it, like, not complete?
Whatever. Like, just concept. No, concepts that you would ideally want to tag from me on.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, here's a joke that's not working right now that I like. So this is what I've got currently. My sister's just started dating a loan shark. Right?
Okay.
Which is quite the surprise because I just knew how much she enjoyed having gangbangs with stingrays.
What? What? Okay.
Yeah.
Run me through that, brother.
Okay, so...
Is the Stingrays an NRL team?
No, it's nothing to do with that. So loan shark like you know it.
Okay, yeah.
So as in like a single shark. So I'm actually... it's just a simple misdirect. Yeah. And it may not be a good joke at all.
I think you need to make the misdirect more clear. Like a loan shark.
Yeah. So people think of people who are trying to, you know, fucking fuck you out of your money and make you pay high interest back.
Yeah.
But in actuality, I'm talking about a single shark. And
Yeah. But I think you need to make. But see, loan shark. I don't think that's like everyone knows what a loan shark is with money.
Yeah.
I think you need to make the second part so ludicrous that it's like, oh, he was talking about a singular shark.
Yes.
Like,
what's more ludicrous than having gangbangs with stingrays? Alex.
No, but you need what you need. It doesn't need to be more ludicrous. It doesn't even need to be more crude. I think it needs to be more like a gaggle of fucking. But I always thought she liked to be fucked by a gaggle of X, Y, Z, and then you use the I think it's like the plural term for a group of specific animals. Ah. So like you use the plural term because then if you
like a murder of crows.
Yeah, like you do like a murder of crows, like a fucking.
But like a well-known.
Yeah, like a real well-known one that is an aggressive animal as well. Like I'm just thinking, I don't know what the plural term.
Like
for,
a school of fish. Or
that for like a big brolic. Like I was thinking, like gorillas was the first thing that popped to my mind.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, I thought you used to like group sex.
Is that like a racial thing?
No, that's not. I'm just thinking like what? Because a shark is aggressive.
We're gonna. Cut
I know
that.
what you're fucking doing. Fuck you! I'm not doing that.
We're gonna cut that from the.
We're not cutting shit. I'm leaving that in because I did nothing wrong.
I'm losing my job after this.
I 100% thought that as soon as I said gorillas, but no.
Good band, by the way, and ludicrous as well. We've mentioned.
Oh, respect to all bands, past, present, and emerging. Anyway, that'll be cut. That's.
Yeah.
Nah, fuck it. I'm leaving it in.
You've got a joke.
Do I have a joke? I have one. No, that's not that original. Oh, well, like I've got a couple of fat concepts that I'm trying to work out. It's like.
About you being fat or other people?
Yeah, about me being fat.
Okay. I don't think you're fat.
I am, but thank you.
I was just saying that.
Just trying to be a good guy for the camera.
Yeah.
But no, it's like...
I was trying to make up for the racial slur I used before.
I thought I was the one that used the racial slur. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's like about... So I'm 5'9", right? And then it's like, you're getting fat when you get your first big fella from a random at the pub. You're like, wait, I'm not. He doesn't think I haven't been to the gym in like 6 months. What the fuck is going on from here? And there's also a thing when you.
I mean, this just sounds like a great idea to start talking about your penis. Like,
I'm
not a big fella. I've got a chode. Let me show you.
But then I also like. There's this thing that I'm working on where it's like everyone. When you lose weight, when you're really fat and you lose weight, people are like, you look so good. You fucking, how good do you look? You look incredible. You're fucking, this is amazing.
And all you have to do is get an Ab Circle Pro.
And all you have to do is shoot Ozempic. It's amazing. You just pay heaps of money and take drugs from diabetics. Because fuck them. We don't need more of them in the gene pool.
I don't know. I kind of like them.
I mean, I like a few of them. But... I got a few good friends. Shout out Paul, who's diabetic. But
last
then
name.
When you start getting, I wanted to say, why are you trying to derail me? I'm fucking getting.
Nah, go.
But when you start getting fat, people are like, are you happy? You're doing well. Oh, he's having a great life right now. He's enjoying himself. And then you get so happy that eventually you get typecast as Father Christmas at every fucking Christmas party. That's when you know you've reached.
So people think
fat.
like you're jolly because you're fat.
Because you're fat.
Yeah. I mean, you got the cheek. You got the red cheeks.
I got the red cheeks. I got the beard. But I could be the most miserable drug addict in the whole world, and I'm still gonna be like Santa. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a concept I'm playing with.
Scrap it.
Alright, fuck this.
At least bring some good jokes to the table.
Alright.
I
didn't have anything going. I've got a couple of other concepts, but they're gonna make me seem like a racist to have that gorilla concept. But
hey, there's nothing wrong with racial jokes, as long as they're done tastefully.
I mean, look, and I only do things tastefully.
People like I found like you shouldn't shy away from doing racial jokes if you can write them for the people that it's about.
I want to do something so racist.
Like, do you know what I mean?
No,
like,
no, but I completely agree. And I do touch on race quite a bit in some of my jokes, and you know, I don't think any topic's too taboo to talk about. You just got to make it funny.
Yeah,
and it's got to be in good taste. And look, a lot of people are going to say, you know, you're a straight white middle class man. It's like, okay, but like that.
I didn't know you were straight.
Oh well, you know, talk to me after a few more beers, darling. But And people say that will preclude you from talking about certain subjects, but I don't believe in that at all.
I was told that once before. I was talking to a comedian, and she. Sorry, I shouldn't drop a gender.
Don't assume her gender.
No. Well, they could be a they, to be fair.
Pig.
But can we cut that out?
Pig!
But no, they could be. Like, I don't know. I don't know what their gender is. I don't know them.
That you're talking about?
No, it's not our friend. It's someone I don't know particularly well, but I was, riffing with a group of people and came up with a joke about, let's just call them less fortunate than me. Yeah. Okay?
You're talking about the poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she basically said to me, you shouldn't joke about anything that's not concerning yourself. Like, don't joke about anything. And I'm just like,
what a boring world that is.
And I just looked at her and said, well, that's my whole set. And then she just left. Yeah, and she hasn't spoken to me since.
Honestly, dude, fuck those kind of people. I mean, a lot of them are very funny, and I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this. I mean, not a lot of people are going to watch, so it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I just think, what a fucking boring world to live in when, you can't talk about anything except your lived experience. We all live in the world, and we all consume information, and you can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes those things are going to have consequences if you say some fucked up shit. But I cannot stand the notion of not being able to talk about something because you don't think it's appropriate, and oftentimes on behalf of other people are getting offended. It's not even you, your group.
Yeah.
It's
always, mate, anytime I've had a problem.
And if someone that if I've said something inappropriate and someone from that group has been like, that's really offensive.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, that's a learning moment for me. I'll be like, oh, I'm really sorry. Can you tell me more about it? And I want to learn about it.
I've had people pull me up on two of my jokes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
You probably know one of the jokes.
Take a couple of guesses.
It's written for African American people.
Yeah. I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had African American people in the crowd laugh at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think this is funny, but I also don't know if it's crossing the line.
You don't want to upset people.
I don't want to upset people. I don't want to upset people at all.
That's not why we do comedy. We're not in comedy to piss people off.
Yeah. And the first time I did that joke in front of someone who was part of that group of people and they lost it.
Yeah.
I've done it probably because there's not that many African American. I got the pass. There's not that many African American people in Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
In Brisbane, right?
There's not that many African people really in the country compared to America. That's
100%. And I was doing a gig in Brisbane. I did the joke.
Oh no, we've run out of battery.
Oh no. I did the joke. You can put it. You can put an image.
We'll put a picture. Yeah.
Yeah. I did the joke, and this is probably one of my favorite moments in my stand-up career. The African American man was drinking a drink as I hit the punchline.
Yeah.
And he sprayed it
spit take
everywhere.
That's the fun.
And it was a joke it was for him as well, and he just sprayed it. And he came up to me after the show and said, that joke was so fucking funny. You're awesome, man. And I'm like, cool.
That's more rewarding than any paycheck, than any fucking, sold out show. Just it's like I got it.
Yeah. And I never thought I'd do racial material. I didn't think it had a part in my set. Yeah. And then I thought of a good twist on my existing material that was
That's
about...
You got to take that chance.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it comes back to making yourself the loser. Like in that scenario, I put myself down here and I put them up there.
Yeah, and also...
And yet, white people are the people who have had a problem with me telling that joke. I've been yelled at, I've been screamed at while doing that joke, saying you can't say that.
Oh dear.
And it was by a white person.
And
I'm like, I've had like 4 people from that group tell me they like that joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like that should be enough.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And yet obviously not every individual in that group speaks for the majority.
No, 100%.
But it's also too, if you're getting that fucking upset from a comedy show, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I'm not a malicious person. If I'm getting up there saying proper hate speech and calling for violence.
I'd love to see that, by the way.
I mean, look, that's what I'm going to be doing at my set this evening. If you want to come down to that Pro Surf Comedy, the Coastal Comedy Show, that's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Shout out to a show that would have transpired 5 days before you're listening to this.
I'm going to try and get this out tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to try.
Should I call my mum and tell her that?
I'm going to be hungover, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we should leave it there. The camera's cut out. Mitch, give us your socials. I'm going to put them in the link, but tell everyone what you got going on, man.
Yeah, it's Mitchie_Donaldson, Mitchie IE _Donaldson. What do I have going on? I don't know. We got the show.
Yeah, we got the show.
We're doing a show this Sunday.
The camera's off. You don't have to get it.
Fuck you, cunt. This is the only time I've looked at the camera is when it's been.
You're addressing the
for the folks at home still watching, which is none of them because the camera's off.
The camera's fucking done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a link to my TikTok on my Instagram. I plan on posting a bunch of clips in the coming weeks. Yep. I've got a fair bit of clips to post, and I'm in the process now of cutting those up, posting them. There's some really good one-liners there that will be ubiquitously loved.
Perfect. I mean, mate,
I guarantee it.
He's a very funny comic and one of my good friends. So yeah, thank you for coming, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm excited for this Sunday.
Me too, bro. I'm in the comeback show. That's right. I'm in the comeback, baby.
That's it, baby. Let's go. All right. Till next time. Catch you later.
See ya.